Okay, so just starting this now, just going to send a couple of go lives out to a couple of. Oh. So this is a second version of the game that was played last week, and we'll see how this goes. Hey, C Sharp, you alright? It's already gone out to a couple of the channels, but feel free. Hey, Fort, you alright? Audio done.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote the Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
I will go through it.
Warning. Whisper machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Security hull breached. Hostile alien life forms inbound.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere.
Right.
You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
Do I have a ship?
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Hey, Andy, you alright?
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it. Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask for
I'm
all
alright.
of our lives. Would you do it? Could you give
Personally?
yourself?
Do I stop with the beam? Landing?
Let me
Not
pause here for
starting
a
it.
second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Got the mandatory copy. I'll stop looking at the ceiling. Right. Yeah.
The beam causes you to start floating.
Interesting.
And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream
think it's
of
great.
tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
I thought it'd be quite good to get put on here.
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
I literally can only walk backwards. I have no other option but to walk backwards. I've got no controls to go left or right, and I literally can only walk backwards and use the mouse to control. I have no other controls. And can I see through the floor?
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and
see through the
narrative.
floor.
It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Well, different. There. Okay. Behind her. And strength.
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Okay. The big map. can only stay on the path here, by the way. I can't get off this path. But I can walk forwards.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting. Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
I've got to check it out. See what's behind the wall.
I know it's tempting, but there's actually nothing over here. Sorry.
Even you guys, everyone's gonna do it. The stairs. Imagine this on a low spinning hard drive. Well, I'm getting slowed down.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
To be fair, I haven't actually looked at the achievements on here. I've done that. Oh, I do have a jump. I'll carry on. I'm not investigating loads of blank areas just for the sake of it. Okay.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games. Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Press U to surrender, shall I do that? Oh, nothing. I press U. No. Oh.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Right. What? Double jumps. Full movement.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon.
Got it.
We're going to see it a lot. So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. All right, Now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Okay. Okay.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Back on the... Going out, exiting, so I was entering before.
So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
Only a house here.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
Have another quick look around upstairs before I go down there.
The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Oh, no HP, that's for sure. That's cool. Hey, Leland. This is a kind of odd game which it's from the same person that did the Stanley Parable, but it's apparently about a friend of his who used to be a game creator. So it's quite interesting, really.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
You have a good time?
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in, and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't. It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
Right, the puzzle.
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Nothing out there.
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
So you there, where did you come up? From up above? Did you come up from up above? What was up there? Yeah. Don't know if you can read this. Yes, the word stamp of whiteness. Yes, there was an enormous prison spent hours in. Yes, these floating coloured blocks. I reckon we'll go with them. Let's tell them. I'm gonna tell them I don't remember doing a puzzle. Yes, I am. Yes, I'm the champion of solving puzzles. I can do anything. Try and get myself potential. Maybe I'll see. Okay, let's go. Be far more interesting. Have these. Why would you care about the space between the doors? Let's see it again. Oh.
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level. It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Okay, next game. It's connected to the internet and I can leave notes, but how do I leave?
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played. But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
Reckon there's one for reading every single one of these. The King of the Wild. There's an acorn somewhere, right? Wow, have you seen how many there are? I'd be here all day. I'd literally be here all stream. They're literally on every single level. Alright, folks, catch you in a bit. I'm not going to read everyone. I can come back to it and do that. Do a whole stream just reading notes. Each game includes door can open door thanks. Open sesame. Door no. Door is not open. I seriously looking at this room now as well. You imagine how long I would be here reading. Not turn back, proceeding further will result in misery. Off to the right. I'm not running them, Andy. I will be here forever. But someone has had to obviously write these out. You probably just got like the entire. If one person's written this all out, it must have taken them ages. I'm faking it. Hey guys, how's it going? Stop pretending you are other people. Maybe I'll feel real someday. Speaking of speedrunning, I was watching someone did did do a portal run, and it was bought the game and I got it refunded within an hour and a half.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means.
You alright?
Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
It was Portal 1, Andy.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
Played it, got all the achievements, 100% in, and then got it refunded. So... these ants.
And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
I do have a Discord that's very empty, by the way. That is the light thing. Yeah, see something. Being a bit random at the moment.
Okay, this one is tough.
Yeah.
It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes.
Okay.
Hang with it.
Oh. Okay. Oh, there's just gonna be a toilet in it. Go in. I know everybody's a member of about 20 plus Discords, so I'm always open to ideas, games playing, things like that.
See, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Brighter? No, it's not. What TV should be in the center? Right, so have a TV, a refrigerator, or put a giant hole in the ground. What do you reckon, guys? In the center. 1, 2, or 3. TV, fridge, or a giant hole. Oh, yeah. Okay. TV unit by the look of things. Okay. Alright, along the wall, what's going on there? Picture of a horse, washing line, or 10 stoves lined up along the wall? Well, I suppose it is a giant hole, but it's not a TV. I'm liking the idea of putting 10 stoves on the wall. This is completely putting this random stuff out, by the way. We'll put Tesla coils in each corner. And a table, you need a table. I'm gonna ask, who are you, what are you doing? Because it's not putting anything I put out.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just
Okay.
weird for weirdness' sake. So, okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Whoa, it's a different direction. It's by the same person, J. Jules. It's but he's making it. He says it's by a friend of his. I'm honest. I've never heard of it before, but I thought something else came out on top. Right, let's click on the table. Go to the floor lamp and turn it on. Back on. Left side of the sofa, remove it a little. And touch the shelves. Window. There you go. One return point.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
Move forward. I did pick up another game that's quite good, quite a good storyline to it, but I don't know if it's spoken. I know that the Stanley Parable, that's what they played last time. Quite good, quite funny. I need that to come back in the future. Okay. Well, one option. Oh. It's me. I assume you guys can read all the chat that's
It's a
going on.
conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
Oh, that's good, Andy. Okay, 1, 2, or 3. So, I was in the furniture maze. I was in the escape tutorial. I was in the reverse prison. Yeah. Actually, I've forgotten how. Yeah, I'm. I've been out for years. Oh, it is very trippy, Jay. Wait, you feel me, and then you get a call from another version when you wake up. Ooh, that's an option. To get out, I have to become sincere. Isn't it just? Help me how you feel, or talk with me for a bit. So. Do something that doesn't involve me too much. Right, that should mess
I can
up
see
your
why he
advice.
considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice? So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
I want to do another game.
To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the 2 doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Bean tweet. Glad as heck you showed up. By the house by myself. Everyone knows loneliness.
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
This game is like doing horse tranquilizer, I've heard. What about the place that's nice? I'll be glad to stay. Oh, do I get options here then? So, because there's multiple houses, isn't there, as I go up the hill? I'm going to ask if we're cleaning the whole place. That's a little one, don't worry about worry now. We'll be through this mess in no time, I promise. You wish there was more. Why don't I finish up here? In the meantime, could you please clear the table? Did I leave the house? No, did not leave the house. Looks like I'm clearing the table. I've made an option. Run to the bedroom and make the bed. Right, okay, I've started making options in this house. Go, right. Actually, this guy has done a pretty good job on the old source engine. While you're there, could you straighten out the rug a bit? Been a long time since I've seen a house this messy. Anyway, my place is a peaceful here. Speaking of which, the pillows on the couch are wrecked. Would you come out and straighten them? Wow, I don't want much from me. No worries, hang on. I will have to just tab out the game a little bit to... because my voice is kind of peaking the meter at times. I can turn down the game. Back. Sorry, Jay, I appreciate the feedback because nobody kind of says. And I'm normally closer to my microphone, so you probably normally get me more there like this. And there's a lot of music in this room. Is that better? Yeah, move my microphone and move where I am. I'll stop my chair from moving back because I was just leaning back a bit in it. Being lazy. Correct posture and all that. Mop up while I'm here. Okay. Just gotta find the mop. Mop. I don't normally have like ongoing music in the other games that I've played. I'm probably gonna get strike for a DMC strike. Maybe mop up as long as where is the mop? Oh, there we go. Did class that as mopping? Oh, I clean the table. I should put that in my description as well. I got the HyperX. I feel compelled to share an incredibly cheesy personal insight. Is that okay? How do I say make it especially? Oh, let's get some cheese on the go. Yeah, I'll set up right for you. There we go. Oh, completely knocked everything off, trying to almost spill in my coffee. Here we go. So. No, it's... Wow. It really wants me to do everything. I knew those books would need doing.
After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful.
In your lifetime. Hey?
I know that Coda really liked this game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
This is... I swear I've already tidied that rug up. Okay. But there's no truth in it. That's truth in that one. My Discord post might get posted quite a lot, by the way. You don't post every 5 chats or something. Just for your information. If it gets spammy, I'll change it for next stream. I wasn't posting at all last stream until I raided someone, and it was still on the same setting as it is now. How can I guess I'm gonna have to do this a few times and then it will finally...
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace. But, of course, it can't last. The
Whee!
music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
Gotta move forwards. And we have a light.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
September 2009.
This one gets a bit goofy.
It is quite symbolic, this, isn't it? Why did you come over there? Was it to improve your life? Was it to get a better job? Was it to make relationships more meaningful? No. Was it you came here to become perfect? This workshop is to teach you to become perfect. I want your friends, your people, your life. Speaking a bit quicker than I can catch up anyway. Is definitely speeding up. Gotta keep moving forward, Jay, basically.
About halfway through the game, the perspective shifts.
Can't be stuck doing the same thing. Like I was in that thing.
And you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
Pretty much. Anyone want to do some ecstasy after this? That's what I chose. I didn't realise I could actually choose the options that are wrong. Oh, this looks funny. Number 3. Holy shit, there's something like coming back out the back of the room. Look out. Coming for us, so we're coming for you, it's gonna destroy it. Brilliant.
I felt pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences
Brilliant.
that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human. I think about this game a lot these days.
True though, no, the cheater at the front of the room.
This one took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
I think I've seen this one showing this game off. Really, really weird, this one. Mind you, you can't really say the other ones have been weird to be fair, but there we go. Right, functionally he's in the scene, you're playing as me at the time of gathering professionals. First you start leaning against the wall. Leaning against the wall. So, hello, sorry I have to leave. Where is the bathroom? Sorry, I have to leave. Cracker's soul. Whether I like you. You're completely missing the tone of this conversation. Was reserved and wanted to know I was confident, but I was confident maybe that it was settling. Sorry guys, let's see. Right, you must have worked really hard to get to where you are. You've been leaning into pain. Some sacrifices had to make. Guess what the sacrifices won? Now she's focused. You'll freak out in conversations. Get it personal quickly. Do you not realize how important this is to me? Right, so. And we have a lamp again. Brilliant. I kind of broke that one. Did everything wrong and got to a lamp.
The game ends with this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution, social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from
Not yet, Jay. I
to
need
anyone other
to
than
have
himself.
a few more streams.
And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy. when
I only
first
got
played
50
this.
followers
You know,
yesterday.
It looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games.
I keep my
'Cause I
average
feel
stream
like
account
a lot
up,
of his games
so
are inviting me to connect.
only
To
recently
connect
I've
with this person, to bring him
going a bit
closer.
more towards aiming for it.
But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to
So
make
I'm
a
now
new
looking
game.
to potentially streaming a couple of times a week. That's why I took a bit more, trying to push my Discord a little bit more, try and get more people into it. Trying to get at the moment, I have a whole 3 people in there. Oh. Well, I had a whole 3 people. I don't know if anybody's followed, to be fair. I know a lot of people from other channels, so I can usually make contact with them anyway. And the door was coming my way. That's interesting. Hope I'm blind. Am I going to be killed by a giant door? Gonna do.
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise. And there is a solution, by the way.
I think I've just selected the wrong option, so yeah. Right, got it. Right. It is, yeah. It's just now down on down to me now to do the other 2 bits really. So Okay. What's going on? Let's get to that one. Please tell me how to solve this. Do you know how to solve this door, I think? This is surprisingly... I need to get up there, I think. Is there any way to jump? No. Yes, there's a thing up there. Right. Alright, it's got to be that guy at the top. 50 followers is the hardest thing, definitely, Jay. Yeah. It's...
Alright, let me explain how you're supposed to do this. On either side of the room are elevators, which go up to an upper level. You have to go up, walk over to the person who's standing there, and then select dialogue option number 2.
Alright, I just killed myself. At least gives you the answer. Let's go. Huh.
Like I said, I was getting concerned. First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from?
I do.
But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way.
Keep going, keep talking. I can't figure out how to say a thing. Okay.
His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost
So it's
6
only gonna get
months
weirder.
before he finishes something new.
That's pretty good for old school Source graphics. Oh yeah, it's been so long since I talked to anyone. What's wrong with you? You look lost. When I try to... I'm completely out of ideas. When I try to create, I feel empty. I have nothing left to give to my work. I know what's happened. Did something change? Wait, you're looking for a machine. I think it's where it is. It isn't far.
If the last game featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for?
Is that door again?
Because from my perspective at the time and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day,
Hey, Jeff,
not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet.
It's going alright, to be fair.
So he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
And this is I'm going to say it's an interesting game. I can only say it's something different. So, close first door. Okay, close the first door. Which so much easier when you'd have to read through this bit.
You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
Nice. JF, I'm talking about there. I got smashed down his walls. Keep thinking.
Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like, video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This is someone I really cared about, and I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me.
Bit weird, I have to choose option 2. Continue on.
This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop. But it didn't stop.
Just a bit, Jay.
After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
Coffee's gone, I'm on water now. At the very start, he says he's doing it for a friend to hopefully get him back into creating the actual creating games, basically. The very, very start of the game, lets everybody lets people play this to get the hopefully get his friend back into recreating games, but with different ideas. What he says. I intend to be quiet. Very good. Let's me into the doorway. Okay.
And of course, it's the machine.
You stopped. It might not technically. Is it the corporate machine or is it the engine, though? As in the game engine? That is a chunky noise, that is. I was just thinking, as a programmer, you program in a physical gaming, not a physical, the software engineer, engine that way. But I would them to suffer, I think, carefully. Alright, I'll speak to them for you. Okay, let's go and speak to the people. The press. So, my followers or my friends? Followers, I think. Let's say they're all press. Calls on me to deliver bad news. I have a troubling revelation. I have a troubling revelation. The machine refuses to admit, and the machine will not apologize to us. We will find a way to live without it. We do not need its games. Let us show it we're not failures, I think. Was a good choice there. And we'll destroy anything that is created, I think, that option. Alright, I have a gun. And how much I do actually have to destroy it. Do they want me to destroy every single bit? Well, he's really
So
breaking
now the
down, isn't
work
it,
is
this guy?
becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for him? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work? So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
Oh, the engine is not happy. Can I
Can
put
you
it there?
see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something... I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy. So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
Okay.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself
Hey,
from the
Baba
world.
Django.
It's a very cold game. This room actually has a maze in it. Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you
Yes.
touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the level, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
Interesting. I wonder if you can actually complete that maze.
And to be fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze?
Okay.
The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
No idea how you're meant to get that normally. Okay.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door for you, so let me do that. Was I a failure for not understanding this game? I mean, I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't. I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed. Where did I screw up? I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you.
There you go, there's a message for you. Anybody's been watching. Right. Says, Dear David, thank you for your interest in my games. I need to ask you not to speak to me anymore.
I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt It felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable. And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally, for a moment while I had that, I liked myself.
It's from the same person that did the Stanley Parable, and it was released afterwards. And you might find out in a minute.
And then you stopped, and I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean?
The weed and free. Problem to.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
Alright, these gaps in the floor here. I don't know how if I can fall through them, but I think I might be able to.
That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
Just a bit. Definitely not a lamppost this time.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
Get in here. So.
Solution.
Interesting.
I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
Trying to figure out if that was carpet or whether that was marble. But marble it looks like.
Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
Okay. The route I've taken through this place, but is it the right? Okay. I'm in a really weird place. Really weird.
If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like.
I assume head towards the light. See, don't head towards the light and all that. Look. And there's something here. And there's a path.
What now?
So.
I think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Hey. Looks like potentially going back into a prison type cell thing. Right, through the hole in the floor. Keep going. Right. Here we go. We'll go in. That looks alright. And coming back up to the core of that station or whatever it was that I got killed on and then floated up off the map. So, see where I end up here. Well, there's only one place I can go here, which is into the stream. Saw that coming. That is amazing. Probably spend a few minutes doing that. That's for sure.
Turn back. Turn back from this cave.
Let's move. There we go.
You said, let me prove that I'm brave. Let me
Oh,
keep
this will probably be cut out of
going.
my
But the cave goes for miles and miles and miles. And you're so tired.
Hey Aaron,
But
you right?
I know that you're strong. So turn back. Turn back.
Comes in when. Okay, so that essentially was the end of that one. So I've got two options here. I can move on to something else. I could jump onto. I mean, that isn't a long game, to be fair. Um, I could start something different. What's everyone feeling? Or do they want to jump onto some of the other people that are around on the streamings? What's chat's general feels? Everyone's just joined. Well, I picked up. Let me just see. Never played it before. I have to get it set up. But I also picked up Night in the Woods. That's another storyline. I was going to chuck that one for another stream, but I could start it. Or I could leave that one for another stream. Or whatever, really. I've not set Night in the Woods up yet, so I would have to get in. Yeah, I can chuck us over to someone else. I would be obviously anybody that isn't following would be nice if you dropped a follow. I am going still. I will be going for affiliate when I am able to. I will be aiming to stream twice a week. I will put it up on schedule. Even if the midweek one's just a shorter stream. I'm not sure yet, no, but on the midweek one. But this one's This one's pretty much set in stone. I always stream on at this time. But it's not that's not a bad game. Stanley yeah, Principles was a good laugh when I played that one through. Yeah. Oh, wasn't meant to be capitals, but there we go. And that game's just decided to stop itself. Close. I'll start it up again just so it's still got something in the background for a minute. Does not like people tabbing out of that game. Yeah, it is really hard to filter the streamers. Just going to sort my oh, I'm still here. Just the game cuts its volume out, which is a bit annoying. Big people are always nice to throw it over to someone a bit smaller, just to, at least to give them a sort of boost. And seconds. Didn't catch that one. But if I'm playing something really random, that everyone's playing Call of Duty. Hey, Nanny. I'm just about to raid over to somebody, but obviously you are following. So if you I'm yeah, I've just completed the game. I'm gonna stream over, drop my stream, but if you raid over with me to someone else and then drop out would be great, just to show a few numbers. That would be brilliant. But I have got another game lined up for another stream. It just seems a bit pointless starting a story-based game towards near the end of the stream. I haven't been on for that long, but it's just nice to find someone to follow that's quite new, just to give them a bit of a start. I'm just finding someone. I'm trying to find someone that's not actually playing Call of Duty, but everybody seems to be playing Call of Duty. Exactly a game I wanted to join on. Every single person seems to be playing Call of Duty. Oh. Well, the other game I've got, I might adjust the time or stream uh, when stream a bit longer. So Yeah, but I'm also an 18 plus stream because I don't know what the games are going to involve when they're story based. And I've got no idea what I'm going to say either. So, guys, I will chuck up a end of stream message on here because I do have an end of stream message now. So it is also green. Everything, if you've noticed, is green now on my stream. I've changed my pictures, changed everything else. My logo's changed. So, assuming that's all good, I will raid over. Yes, even my logo's changed as well for online. So, that is good. So, I'll raid over here. Hopefully Andy's picked us somebody good. So we're going with that. So, let's go. See who this person is. Let's raid over. Go back over there. So we got everybody. Let's raid over.
Oh, you're the queen. Yo, thank you for the raid, Adsen. What is up? Thank you so much. Hello, raiders. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Were you guys playing same game?
That's in raid.
Hope you're all having a wonderful Sunday. Adsen raid. Can we get a shout out for the Adsen raid? Apologize by dying. You man. Chop you and your broom up. Music's driving me crazy. Mods are nowhere. I mean, anyone can do it. It's a regular. Just.
I'm just playing the beginners.
You do it, Jay.